What's up and good morning, War Report family. War Eagle to y'all. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. We are here, morning drop style, talking a little bit more about the transfer portal, baby. It's about to go crazy out here in college football. What direction is Auburn football going to take? And Coach Hugh Freeze and his staff coming up in this next portal period. You know, we got to talk about it right here, morning drop style. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Morning drop time. Your man Ike Jones here. Be Will. It is April 10th. And we are talking a little bit more about just comments that Coach Hugh Freeze made regarding A-Day, some of the things that we saw, and how what we know right now post-spring is going to potentially impact what's going to happen in the transfer portal this summer and leading into the fall. B. Will, how you doing this morning?
Doing all right, man. I was rushing so much. I ain't get to clean out my regular War Report mug. I got this standard issue coffee cup, mass produced, without love, without Auburn fandom built into it. I'm sad, man. But I need my go-go juice. So
that is sad, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's disappointing for me. But you know,
as the mug designers and basically the builder of our merch shop, I'm sorry, man. I let you down.
It's all good, man. It happens to the best of us every now and then, you know. Apparently, I need to do like an entire show though with no hat on, because that picture that got posted to Twitter, people were like, "I've never seen Ike without a hat on. He has a head underneath there," and it's like, yeah, I'm a regular human being that doesn't have hats attached sewn to my head. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that today. Just I need to shave a little bit.
People ain't used to it, man.
It's all good. You know, I don't have no hair though. For the record, if you didn't see it on Twitter, I do not have hair. B. Will is not the only bald War Report guy.
That's right. That's right. We've been
bald men with beards run
That's
deep.
the look. That's the game.
Yeah,
we've been bald and bearded. Like what's crazy is we both started balding early, and we always been bearded, man. But that's the look. That's the look. All y'all guys holding out, trying to do your hair in your late 30s, early 40s. It's cool. You'll be here one day.
The comb over stuff, and then you got the people with the edge ups that start like back here in the top of their head, or it's like what are we doing, man? Just cut your hair off, fam. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you'll get used to looking at yourself that way.
Yeah. LeBron's the biggest offender. Boy, let that little weak stuff go.
Yeah, man.
I was doing that. I was doing that little, all right, this is thinning a lot, so I'm finna like let this grow a little longer, then cut this lower and smooth that out. Stop it. You look silly. You look silly. Stop it.
I let mine go immediately, bro. I saw a hint of like a little spot right here. I was like, nope. We done.
Who are we fooling?
I'm not even finna play with y'all with this, man. I'm not finna be. But you know what? It makes me look younger. I look older when I try to grow my hair out. This ain't got nothing to do with Auburn football this morning.
Yeah,
we just
y'all here with us, family. We appreciate you being here in first place.
But man, it makes me look younger. It keeps my youthfulness, not trying to hold on to hair that's not really there.
That's right. Happier and less energy. Do you want to line up and brush and what? No, man. Just shoot. We done for days. That's how I go.
But hey, that beard is luxurious, though. You understand me?
That's what it is, man. That's what it is.
Anyway, all right. So back to topic. I'm sorry, we got way off topic this morning. Off the top, it was just we just had to get in there. But now that we are on topic, you guys can share the video. Since at this point in time, people will be coming in and they'll be hearing things that actually have something to do with football. So share the video. Make sure you add us when you do that video. Like the video, even though you may not have liked the conversation about balding and beards. You can like this video and subscribe to the channel, because I promise you we will be talking about football going forward. I want to cue in, though, specifically on comments Coach Hugh Freeze made regarding recruiting post-spring. He made some comments in his post-game presser, which is live on our channel if you want to see it in its entirety. But let's hear this conversation that happened, or this comment, that happened from Coach Hugh Freeze after A-Day.
Coach, you really aimed to temper expectations about what fans would see today earlier in the week. But you had a lot of high-profile recruits here. What do you hope they gain from what you guys put on display today?
We had a ton of great recruits here last night and this morning and today, and obviously you'd love for it to have been a prettier day where everyone would have enjoyed it more, and I think we'd have had a bigger crowd and all of that. But ultimately, they've been with us all morning as we prepped, and they get a feel for who Auburn is as a football program and university, and they wouldn't be here if we haven't done a decent job of recruiting them to this point. So I think it speaks that we're in it.
Yeah. So Coach Hugh Freeze talking about just the state of where they want to go with recruiting. Any thoughts on those comments from Coach Freeze?
Not really. I think he's shown himself with nothing that we didn't already know about him, which is this is a priority. It's such a priority. As a matter of fact, when we interview people, whether it's coaches or players or whatever, we interview BP. And even though I'm not usually one of the people interviewing, so I'm going to get the audio and clean it up for the podcast, right? So one thing that Hugh Freeze said at the end of his was, all right, thanks, you guys. I got to take this call as a recruit. And then Mike was like, hold on, coach, we got to do the sign off. So, I mean, that part got cut out, but he was like, as soon as he thought the conversation was done, he was like, all right, so I got to call his recruit back because his phone had rang during the interview. That didn't happen with Coach Harsin. That didn't happen with Brian Harsin.
That's a fact.
That did not happen. It seems to be such a problem. I mean, but you understand why. He seems dead set on getting top tier talent down here to show them that they are a priority, that they're important. As a matter of fact, the thing that we're hearing about, maybe it's a Hugh Freeze philosophy that's working its way down the tree, is, man, every time a recruit gets interviewed, they're saying, nobody talks to me as much as Coach Hugh Freeze talks to me. Man, nobody's coming after me the way, like, you can say, oh, well, they're telling me they want me and they're telling me where they see me. That's one thing. The other one is I talk to them all the time, constantly.
Yeah.
They tell me, they tell me how much, man, I love it down here. I'm coming back. Committing to come back before you leave, that's a difference. That's a difference. His attitude about recruiting is this is just another way you start to paint the picture of who he is as a coach, where his priorities lie. And it is, I'm getting the best talent down here. Everything that has been set up over the last 6 months between a unified NIL effort, the Football Performance Center, everything is pushing the same direction for once. And it seems to be paying dividends with, number one, the bodies that we're able to get on campus, because let's be clear, we were always trying to get these top tier recruits here. We couldn't even get them on campus. We were fighting to get them here just to get a some face-to-face time with them on campus to show them where we want them to go, where you're going to room, where you're going to play and practice. Couldn't even necessarily do that. But now they're coming down here for this, let's be clear, the worst A-Day in the last, I don't know, I'm going to say 16 years. This is my custom. And they're like, man, yeah, it was cool. I'm coming back. Word. Man, a rainy A-Day might have tanked a Gus Malzahn recruiting class altogether. And Hugh Freeze has got one, and folks, 5 stars. Folks that are committed elsewhere, like, oh no, I'm coming back. I will be back. You can't emphasize enough. I don't think we can overstate how important recruiting is to Hugh Freeze. So these comments, I don't think they illustrate anything new, but it makes me wonder what kind of damage we would have done without a rainy A-Day. That is going to be a what if in my head. I still think we clean up this cycle, the 24 cycle, but yeah, we know who Hugh Freeze is as a recruiter for sure.
So here's my question, and this is something I've actually wondered for a while, and I want to get your thoughts on it before I comment and say what I think.
Okay.
Do you think that his consistent plea, and I use the word plea, not like he's begging, but he's pretty persistent about saying we want talent, we want new talent, do you think that does any damage to the guys that are currently on the roster, feeling as if, well, am I not good enough for you? Right? Like, we need to upgrade the talent in our room. We need to upgrade the talent in our room consistently coming from your head coach. How would you feel as a current player hearing that consistently?
I would think I need to up my game here. The first thing it would make me think is, well, if you need more bodies because I'm not good enough, then that means I have an opportunity to cement myself. Because if nobody here is super impressive, then that means it's wide open for me to kind of put my stake in the ground. That's what I would be thinking as somebody who is currently on the roster.
Okay.
If it's a super talented position like running back, I'm not offended at all because you've been giving the running backs praise. He's praised the tight ends as well.
And that is part of why I would feel a way if I was not in one of those rooms, though. He's like, oh, we're good in this room. We're good in this room. Some of these other places, though, we might need to go get some better talent. Because again, he's not saying people aren't working hard. He's saying they're just not talented enough.
He is saying that, but there's also opportunity there. You see opportunity. So if the run defense playing like it did, right? You've got a fall camp. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a defensive lineman better than the one you got this offseason in Rodgers. I don't know if there's going to be 2 linebackers better than Keys and Tolan. So listen, you did upgrade the talent in those rooms. Now, maybe it hasn't come together yet. Maybe the new scheme is part of it. But he also said the wide receiver position was, he was asked specifically about the quarterback performance. And he said, well, we want quarterbacks who can make throws in tight coverage and wide receivers who can get open in tight coverage. That's what he wants. So he said eventually somebody's going to be able to slow down your run game, and you've got to be able to make throws in tight coverage and get open in tight coverage. These wide receivers and quarterbacks know what he expects. And something that I think when it comes to game time, like really actually watching games and playing games, I don't think all these quarterbacks necessarily get a raw deal. Sometimes quarterbacks do get a raw deal. You don't even get a chance to get on the field. I understand that. Sometimes you're going to get put in the game and it's going to go, hey, man, I need you to make this throw. Here's your throw. So when we're reviewing this game next week in practice, the coaches are going to stop right here and be like, here's where you messed up. Right here. I needed you to do this because this is what we practiced. You didn't do it. I think some of that tape has been out on like a TJ Finley based on the first few games he played last season. Like, all right, here you go. You got an off season. You've been here. Go and execute. And he failed to execute in a lot of ways. And now you have something to point back to. It's like, listen, man, listen, I'm not being unfair to you. We're not being unfair to you. Here's what's expected. Here's what you did. You didn't cut the mustard. We're upgrading the room. I don't think that message is lost, which is why he was so complimentary of Robbie Ashford, which was, man, he's gotten better. He's improved. I've seen him move along both on and off the field, leadership qualities and intangibles. So would I take it as a slight if I'm in that room? I would take it as a slight if I haven't had the opportunity to prove myself.
Well, see, I think that's part of, and I'll kind of chime in with my opinion now. I do think that it's damaging to players in the room because he's using words specifically like, well, you know, maybe they can do it, but they haven't proven anything on. Well, I haven't had a chance to prove it, coach. Like, it's not as if I've had an opportunity to prove it. So saying I've never done it in a game when I've never had the chance to do it in the game isn't really fair to me as a way to assess what the status of our room is. Like, because he's saying, you know, we want to go get, you know, we're looking if we see an opportunity, because this, I'm almost quoting, I'm not quoting specifically. He's like, if we see a guy who's proven that he can do these things, then that's a guy we welcome into our room. But how are the guys in your room right now going to prove it if you don't give them a chance to? Or are you saying y'all need to go prove it somewhere else? Because you ain't finna prove it here.
Right. And that's where it falls. There's only one ball. There's only one guy on the field at quarterback. So how do you assess any one guy? Because right now, if you saw TJ Finley, you saw Hugh Freeze's live assessment of TJ Finley, you hear how he talks about Robbie and Holden, then I would say, okay, Robbie 1, Holden 2, and the rest TBD. Whether it's a grad transfer that maybe comes in there and jockeys for the 1 or the 2 spot, Hank Brown's going to come in and clearly be at the back of the line. At what point do you give Holden Gerner, Holden Gerner, an opportunity to prove that he can do and make those throws in tight coverage? Is it something like, well, let's see, maybe our offensive line needs to gel. We run block great. We let them grow up while Holden's growing up, and then next year, Holden, you're a full go. We get our wide receivers playing the way we want them to play. We find the guy or two who we think can make that separation in tight coverage. And then Holden's golden. Because one thing that he has actually said was, Hugh Freeze, was we want him to be the wide receivers to be big targets. We want them to be big targets. Excuse me. We want them to have wide catch radiuses. He wants them to provide some slack for the quarterbacks.
Right.
He's trying to set that up. I don't think he has it right now. So he needs a better quarterback or a mobile quarterback. I think if everything is as it should be, then there's more room. I don't want to say for error, but you don't have to be a scat back at quarterback if your offensive line is exactly what you needed and it's a known quantity, and so is your wide receiver room. But that's not our situation right now. But to your point, I don't know. Does Holden Geriner go, okay, yeah, I appreciate the praise. Thanks for letting me throw in pro day, guys. You bring in somebody over me, and now Robbie's still over me with his experience. So I now have virtually no shot unless it turns into a triage down here. I'm out of here. I hope that's not the case. But to your point, I can see how it get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very likely that someone hears those comments and thinks to themselves, I'm busting my butt. When am I going to actually get a chance? And if I'm not going to get a chance here, I need to get a chance somewhere. So I'm going to figure out how to pivot and go somewhere else. They just want an opportunity. And it'd be different to say, I don't know. I don't know what the conversations are behind closed doors, though. Right. He could be putting out the signal, I'd be wanting to get these relationship analogies, and I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying some of this stuff, so I ain't gonna do that. So we ain't
been in other relationships in like 10 years.
The only relationship I'm worried about right now is the one with the Rogue Shop. So you guys can head over to rogueshop.com and use code REPORT. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And you guys can form your own relationship with America's #1 online dispensary. Rogueshop.com is where you go for all of your herbal supplement needs: sleep, stress, depression, anxiety. They have products there that will help with those things. Make sure you head over to Rogue Shop today. Use code REPORT so that they know that they know we sent you. Now, other relationships that make a lot of sense and I love the ones that we have with our community, and we are going to go in here and get comments from you all, and we're going to start with the super chats because of course we love those of you who do that. B Will's forehead jumps in and says, I bet Mike wears a wig too.
Listen, man, I'm hating on anybody over 35 that got a full head of hair and an intact hairline. That includes C-Dub. That includes Mike G.
Yeah, I
got beef.
I mean, I ain't hating on him. I love my bald head.
I'm not, man. I love the bald look. But why didn't you go when I went? Huh? I was like 28, man. I ain't had no choice in this.
Bro, I started cutting my hair off when I was in college. So I was like 20 when I first was like, yeah, we done with this.
Yeah. To go in your 20s.
And my dad still got a full head of hair. So like
he does. My dad's been bald ever since I remember seeing him, so I knew it was coming. I ain't have a chance. I was cool with it.
My dad still got the full head of hair, man.
Yeah.
My dad's 70 something. So like anyway, and then speaking of full heads of hair, Jazzy Joe in here. I set you up, Ike. My bad. I just fixed the curls up, by the way. Yeah,
man, Jazzy, shut up. Full head of hair looking like Moana daddy. Can't believe you. How you grown with a full head of hair? What's wrong with you? That's childish. Grow up. Lose your hair.
Oh boy, that's funny. Golly, that is funny. All right, let's jump in here. Cleveland Brown says, how's watch the film coming along, Ike? I just did my first rewatch of A-Day last night. The first watch is usually just me cutting it up, right? Like just, all right, cool. Like deciding how I want to segment it. So like there was very little analysis going on. What I was able to see more things on that first watch through. And let me just say this. For those of you who had to watch this on the ESPN app, I am so sorry. Yeah, that was a terrible broadcast.
It was terrible.
They came back from commercial breaks. They had missed plays and stuff. It was bad. Like I want to figure out a different way. Like it's just there's got to be a better way to do these games, man, because ESPN is not doing us justice on this stuff. The audio was bad for certain places of it, which that's not going to be very relevant for when we're watching the film, but it was rough. So if you had to watch it on TV, God bless you. But
something. So I know for a fact they show the game on campus when they show it on the big screen, right? The athletic department, the football, they are recording the game because they're broadcasting. So what you see on the screen when you're in the stadium, that's getting broadcast on the on-campus cable. So if you're on campus anywhere, if you're in a building, stopping to use the bathroom, if you're just in there chilling, instead of going to the game directly, you can see the game, but it's on this, not ESPN, not CBS, but it's on this channel. And now the camera angles aren't always great. But what I can promise you is they aren't missing a play because they don't go to commercial. So you're always going to see the play. You're going to have, that's what the radio broadcast accompanies it. So it's married up with the radio broadcast. So you hear the home team broadcast, and it's really fluid. It's usually in 60 frames a second. We got to find a way to get our hands on that because it would be a great way to accompany the footage that we get from the network broadcast, from ESPN, CBS, whoever. But yeah, it was not good today. That day, it was not good Saturday.
No, it wasn't the best at all. They put their D team on there. SS Austin jumps in. I think we get a QB, some wide receivers, and maybe an edge. Speaking of guys in the portal that Auburn is going to be targeting coming up this.
I want to watch the film with you before we say definitively that we're going to get an edge. I saw Wilkie Denard on the field. That man is bigger than I thought he was. That man is bigger than I thought he was. I thought he was like thin and he had to come in here and put on like 30, 40 pounds. He already looked like he was at least 250. I was like, oh, we might not be as hungry at edge. So
according to his thing, he's 275.
Okay, so you know what? Physically, now that doesn't mean he's as good or he's flashing as well as Keldrick Fall, but if
he's not currently working out in the edge room according to the roster, but I'll go back and look and see where he lined up.
Okay, so that might help. Was he was a natural defensive end, I think was his position. Okay, 275. But I mean, again, functionally, that's the same things are going to get done. I guess in this defense specifically, one guy is the jack, the true jack.
Right.
So, okay. But again, Dylan Brooks is still on the team. We have to look at the tape. I want to see what all these guys did because between Wilkie, Dylan Brooks, Keldrick Fall, we should have three guys. At least two of those were rated as 5-star talents. We shouldn't be thirsting for edge production at this point. Not with the way we've been recruiting at that position at least. So we shall see. Let's look at that film before we make that call.
Definitely going to be taking a look at that. Corey Weber jumps in and says, definitely need an edge. So, and then probably another interior offensive lineman.
Yeah, I'm TBD on edge. I want to see what they did, but interior. So let's see. Xavion Miller. I think that's the one coming from JUCO.
Yep.
He's not here yet. Right now, he's projected to play inside offensive line. He's played more snaps than our high school guys, but Connor Lew has already been impressive to all these people. Tate Johnson is still around for interior offensive line, maybe or center. I don't know if he's going to stay at the way he's at, but because of how much he's been complimented, I'm not super concerned about interior offensive line. I think they just got to get them on campus and then find them. I think they have to get them on campus because we're still. Did Braden Joyner join in the spring?
I don't know the answer to that. Let me look and see if he is.
Because I don't think he did either. And
he's on the roster right now with a number. So yeah.
Okay.
6'2", 341.
I don't know how he's not an interior offensive lineman because that screams. So I don't know if it's injury, something that kept him from getting in the rotation, getting in shape. But I think we got the bodies. I think, Corey. I don't know anymore than Hugh Freeze doesn't give us intel. Hey guys, here's what I got coming out of spring. I'm gonna give you this list.
All right.
So we don't know. So, but we shall see.
We definitely will see. SS Austin jumps back in. That's good though. It means the teams that win got the best talent. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. There's no denying that. The talent wins out. We saw Ohio State put on a show against Georgia with talent on the strength of the quarterback talent, the wide receiver talent, not the kicking talent, unfortunately, Ohio State. But talent is what's going to get you there and give you a chance. You can sneak one of these teams every now and then, sure. off of just having a really good game, being really well prepared. I saw an outman Gus Malzahn Auburn team beat Alabama 3 times. We were never the more talented team, not one time. That we were out schemed. Nick Saban was out coached several times. But could we complete it by winning our next game after that? Usually no, because we weren't the more talented team than Georgia. We had to see next in line. So yeah, it makes a difference, and we got to get up there so that hopefully some top tier coaching can put us over the top and get us into these playoffs.
John Brannon jumps in. I think the coaches tell the players that's how it's going to be, so you have to keep your foot on the throttle.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they're doing a good job of
be...
communicating to them kind of where they are. And, that's something that Mike G has talked about a few times, wondering how players are getting feedback and how often they understand where they are in the pecking order of things, or things that they have to work on to become the guy that the coach is looking to play on a consistent basis. And hopefully they're doing a good job of that.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we are not privy to.
Yeah.
Lawrence Robinson says the other issue is just depth. How deep do we go at all positions? Not that we aren't good enough, but not enough good people behind them as well. This is probably the most difficult thing to do in the current era of college sports, is to maintain quality depth, right? And this is why recruiting kind of just has to be the way that you build that, because you just need to stack the cupboard with a bunch of guys. So when you lose somebody and you bring somebody in the portal, it is kind of reshelving as opposed to trying to figure out how to replace, the front line of whatever's happening.
Right.
But the question for me is whether or not the comments by the coach mean that he's going out looking for I just don't know that you're going to find a starter in the portal in this period. There's just not how many quality pieces are going to be leaving. Like, they're going to have to be leaving a big time program. And how many big time programs, big time recruits aren't already playing somewhere?
Right.
I just don't know how many that, especially it can't be an SEC team if you wanted to play this year. Yeah. So you got to look at somebody from the Big 10, maybe Pac-12 if you want to go get a wide receiver, Big 12 if you want to maybe get some pass rushers. I don't know.
So do you think it's not worth it to dip into the portal for the sake of finding a quality 2 or 3? You think?
No, you definitely, that's what you're going to have to do, is get a 2 or 3. Like, I don't know that you're going to go get. So I'll think about it like this. Let's take the 5 guys we said we thought might transfer, right? Which Dawson had a good A-Day game, right? Landon King had a couple of targets during A-Day, right? So let's just take those 2 guys. Let's say they actually do transfer. Are you going to go find 2 wide receivers that are better than Dawson and King, is the question that you have to ask yourself in this portal period from whatever other school, because you have to replace them with somebody from a depth perspective, and they need to be better than the guys that left, or you didn't upgrade your room. You just put 2 new bodies in there.
2 new bodies who are going to be behind in whatever you're trying to teach.
Right.
So let me ask you this then. Is it possible for a wide receiver to see a talented wide receiver, a wide receiver who is slated to start wherever he's at, to go, boy, our quarterbacks look terrible. We're not going to win much here.
We haven't shown enough at quarterback for them to look over here.
Now, we haven't, but what we have shown is an ability to treat our players very well, both in facilities and keeping guys happy with NIL.
If they're at Ole Miss, then yeah, they might want to come over
Yeah.
here.
That's what I wonder. I wonder if now, as somebody was talking about this, I think one of the players in the women's basketball tournament jumped into the portal, a girl from Louisville who was trash talking somebody in the Texas line, and it kind of went viral. Yeah. She jumped in the line with a do not contact designation. In the portal with a do not contact, which means everybody was like, all right, y'all know what this means, right?
She knows exactly where she's going.
She knows exactly where she's going. And how do you know exactly where you're going if you didn't talk to anybody from that place before you jumped in the portal? This is happening. Is it tampering? Yes. Yes. If it's done by the players at that team, it's not necessarily tampering by law, but it's still tampering. It's not unheard of for somebody to go, hey, man, listen, tell your boy to come on over here, because I saw that quarterback. I saw that spring game. They trash. We couldn't throw it. That's why we didn't. We was going to sling it, though. I promise. Come on over here, man. Let me Be my guest. Let me show you the dorms and the football facility and all this stuff because we could treat you better than that. It's possible. Dirty Macking at its finest, football edition, is possible. And I wonder if we see any of that this portal period.
I mean, it's possible. I don't think that I just don't know without having a season of seeing the offense that's going to be a very big draw for anybody. And it's really going to have to start with, to Coach Freeze's point, it's going to have to start with a quarterback that somebody's already seen do it. Like you can tell somebody, nah, man, because in practice he really be slinging. It's like, bro, I haven't seen any of them dudes do it in a game. So if you find a quarterback that has done it in games, then maybe some wide receivers are like, oh, hey coach, it's been fun, but I'm finna go holler at, because they just got such and such, man. So and I already know what they got in the running back room. They look like they upgraded their offensive line. I think I'm gonna slide.
So you think if there were a situation where a significantly better, or at least a guy who's shown it on the field, quarterback portal player comes, and even if he hasn't done a bunch of winning, like, oh no, I've seen him sling the rock though. I'm going there to play with him. You think
that's the only way I think that somebody leaves a situation where they were potentially going to be starter or first team type of reps would come to Auburn, because you have to believe what you see. I don't know that anybody believes in potential that much in players.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And again, I'm not one of the people who doesn't feel like the guys on our roster can't win football games. Coach Freeze said he believes the guys on our roster can win football games.
Right.
But I think that in order for you to coax some major player away from another school, you're going to need some proven stuff out there on the field for them to attract them to come. Otherwise, you're going to have to ride with what you have this season. And then next year is the year that you're going to have to do all of the convincing. Or you're not going to do as much convincing because you're going to be like, look, man, look what I did with such and such, bro. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. I'm with you.
All right. Lawrence Robinson says, laughing at B. Wills, Holden's Golden is a good one.
I got to make that shirt if he starts and plays well.
If Holden is a starter, Holden's Golden is definitely going to become a thing. I am very much on board with that. Definitely on board with that. All right, man. That's it, man. We're going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys dropping in with us, of course. And while you're dropping in places, head over to Rogue Shop. RogueShop.com, of course, is America's #1 online dispensary. Use code RAPPORT to let them know that you guys at the War Report sent you. We will be back tomorrow morning with another drop and more conversation about maybe, I don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but just tune in to find out, man. We're out of here until next time. And as always, War Eagle, we're out of here. Peace.
Peace.